Good evening, and welcome to another edition of The Best Is Yet to Come. I am your host, Stephanie SEIGLE, and we have another awesome show lined up for you tonight. And for our newcomers that's on the platform with us tonight, we would like to say welcome. And if you're not familiar with The Best Is Yet to Come, our platform is to be not only a resource to the community, but also discuss things that are plaguing our community and come up with a solution to make things better for our community. In ways that we like to do that, we like to have guests on to share their story and their knowledge and their wisdom as to how we can bring a close to some of the things that are plaguing our community. Tonight's show is a little different, however. One thing that I feel that we don't talk enough about is the great things that go on in our community, or the great things that people are doing within our community. Tonight we have two young guests on that grew up in the inner city. And, you know, a lot of times our youth are plagued with gang violence and different things. However, the guests that we have on tonight, they're going to share their story with you, how they were not a part of that. Welcome, Isaiah and Ely.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. Okay. We're talking about Black excellency. What does that mean to you, two young men, that I'm so proud of? Let me say that first and foremost.
Thank you. Um, Black excellence, what does that mean to us?
Yes.
I feel like it's something that every black man and every black woman should try and strive for.
Okay.
You know, I feel like it's like a way of life, sort of like a way of life, if that makes sense.
Okay. When you say a way of life, what do you mean?
Like, I just feel like black excellence, like, you should just always strive to be the best you can be.
Okay. Okay. Ely, would you like to share?
Yeah, let's go with what Isaiah was saying here. You should strive for it. You know what I'm saying? As a person of color, the favor is not always ours to take. So when we get like great opportunities, we have to take those things and be great.
Okay. All right. Good answers. So, Isaiah, you have completed your first year of college. Ely, you just graduated high school and college bound. Let's talk about that experience. I know you both graduated with honors, which is, you know, kudos to you guys. Like I said, I'm so proud of both of you all. What was that experience like?
My first year of college.
Well, your first year of college and what your years leading up to your first year of college. But let's talk about your first year of college first.
Well, you know, it was definitely different. It was an adjustment, sort of. You know, the workload is a little bit different. You know, you're more independent. It's not really as much as someone over your shoulder as much, kind of, you know, like telling you, you know, like, oh, you got to do this or you got to do that. It's kind of more of a sink or swim kind of thing. It's kind of like you're an adult now, so it's kind of like it's more on you to do what you got to do. There's not going to be somebody there like, hey, remember, you got to do this, you got to do that. It's either you do it or you don't.
Okay. And you chose to do it.
I chose to do it.
Which was a great thing.
It was.
Yes, yes. Now let's talk about this. I know that with the pandemic, your first year, you were not able to actually be on campus like you originally had planned. How was that experience?
It was, I don't know, because in high school I had to do something similar, because I was in high school when the pandemic first happened. So I was kind of used to it, but at the same time, like I said before, it's different, because like it's a different workload. You know, it's like it's a different animal you're dealing with in college than in high school. So it was like there was some similarities, like where I felt kind of comfortable, but at the same time, like it was just different.
Okay. Having older siblings that have graduated college, and I'm sure you heard about all the wild parties and different things. What was your take on that? I mean, being remote, your first year being remote, missing out on the parties, living in a dorm. How was that adjustment for you?
Well, at first I didn't really mind it, but kind of as you kind of get like towards in the middle of it, that's when it kind of, for me, like I felt like sort of like the fatigue, like, oh man, I wish I was on campus because I can be doing some of this stuff. But for me personally, it didn't really bother me too much, because, you know, I still had friends that I could, you know, meet up with if I ever got bored or what have you. So
Okay. Now, Ely, I know you're very athletic. Senior year is like the best year ever. Now, were you, with the pandemic, were you able to still participate in the sports and stuff that you're involved in?
The only sport I was able to partake in was boxing, and that's
Okay.
my main sport because
Okay.
our track season I got canceled during the pandemic.
Okay.
But yeah, I focused more on boxing with my Coach Bobby, who was like he's like another dad to me.
Okay, great.
And so yeah, I had just helped him build his gym up, and now he's opening his brand new gym. So
Oh, great.
Hey.
Yeah, great, great. Now, were you able to go to the prom? Were you able to do some of the senior things?
yeah.
So the pandemic didn't inhibit you from doing that? Okay, all right. Now, I know you two were honor student, made the honor roll throughout your senior year. How was that experience? How hard was that with your sports activity and academically? How was that for you?
It was challenging. I ain't gonna lie. It was a lot of work because all the distractions and me wanting to be the best athlete I could be, but still had to try to maintain my grades and try to really put in the work and study for all the tests and all the quizzes that we had. But honestly, I sucked it up and I just did it.
Okay, great, awesome, awesome. Now, are you competing or did you compete also?
Yeah, I
Okay,
did.
all right. So how was that competing? Your workload and practice. And I know your coach. I haven't met him personally, I don't think, but I know him and I've talked with him, and I know he could be very stringent because Isaiah was also a student of his at one point in time. So how was that maintaining, balancing it all out?
It was good. He's very strict with me. He made sure I stayed on my grades. He was checking in on me like every day, saying, "Oh, Ely, how's your grades? How's your grades? How's your grades?" It was more like that was his main focus than the sports thing.
Okay.
And that's what really helped like push me to get good grades.
Okay, awesome. Now, you two are both young men. At one point in time, maybe 100 moons ago, I was you guys' age. And I know, what it's like wanting to have friends and hang out. How did you all balance all that within the things that you all needed to do, your academics, your sports, and stuff like that? How was that? How easy was that to balance?
It was. You wanna go? So, it was hard because, as you know, I wasn't always the greatest student. So when I really had to, kind of get in that mode to really focus on school, it was hard for me at first because I was so used to not really caring about the grades, focusing more on my social life, and it was that I had to hit that switch. So for me at first it was hard, and it was like there was even some moments where I kind of cut off my social life completely, but then I learned to kind of find like a balance between, all right, I'll focus on my studies right now, and then I'll go,
Okay.
enjoy my social life.
Okay, all right. Ely, how was it for you?
For me, it was I say it was good because I had found me a little group that they were all motivated to get their grades up and they get honor roll and to be able to play the sports that they wanted to play. So that was
Okay.
very good.
I'm glad that you said that because that kind of segue into my next question to you guys. In my opinion, it's very important that you surround yourself with mind-like people, not only for you all as teenagers, but us as adults also. I feel that it's very important. How easy or how hard was that? Because you get into the peer pressure. Let's talk about that, if you will.
I say it's easy and hard because then again, you have a group of friends that want to do right, that want to get good grades, play the sports they play. Then you probably have another group of friends that's like, oh, bump the grades, let's just go party, do whatever. And it's like you wanna be both, but it's hard because you're jumping from one group to another group, and the two groups they don't like to do the same thing.
Okay. Isaiah?
I agree with Ely said. I feel like it definitely can be hard because it's almost like you're living a double life. It's like I want to focus on my grades, but at the same time, I do want to, do all this fun stuff. But I know like that's gonna hinder my grades. So it's kind of like you gotta kind of try and weigh it out and find a balance between the two.
Now, do you find yourself, or did you ever experience where you all felt like, I don't want to say cut off, but I'm going to say cut off for lack of a better word, cut off some friends that maybe that you were friends with for a long time because they wasn't on the same path that you guys were on? Did you find yourself in that type of situation?
Yeah.
Okay. And how easy or how hard was that?
For me, it kind of depended on the friend because, you know, you're not the same closeness with every friend as you are with others. But, you know, with going out, with leaving high school, you know, you cut some friends off because, you know, this person's going over there, this person's going over there. It's kind of like a part of life. But, you know, I feel like it wasn't, I don't know, it's different for different friends. Some friends, it was harder than other friends to kind of cut off.
Okay. But did you make that, you were able to make that transition though?
Yeah, sometimes I had to make it. I didn't have a choice, and other times I made the decision to do so.
Okay. Now you say you sometime you had to make that decision. You didn't have a choice. Can you explain with our audience what you mean by that and what forced you to make that decision?
Well, say your best friend's like moving across the country
Okay.
or moving to a different country. You kind of don't really have a choice but to kind of cut them off. 'Cause
Okay.
you're not really going to see
Well,
them.
is that really cutting them off, or is distance between the relationship?
Well, I don't know. I kind of see it as cutting them off. I feel like cutting someone off isn't, you know, always forever, but it's even for like a little bit.
Okay. All right. Ely?
For me, it was hard because if I friend somebody, I always grow like a close relationship with that person. So it's like I try to like explain my situation to them at first. I'll be like, I'm trying to get my grades up. I don't think I can hang out with you as much as I used to. I try to like come to a understanding with them, and usually they're cool with it.
Okay. All right. Now, I know you two have been friends probably since the age of 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And you all, I know Isaiah considered you to be his brother from another mother, his ace. How has that friendship been, and how has that, you know, I mean, I think it's awesome. You know, you all are blessed to have each other. Isaiah even refers to you as his twin. So let's talk about that friendship.
I don't know. It's it started from the sandbox.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. All right.
Yeah, it's great. You know what I'm saying? I can, if I don't want to be around other people like say school wise, I can just call on Isaiah. I know he's there for me always.
Okay.
Yeah, likewise. And you know, it's like all my other siblings are a lot older. So sometimes I kind of felt like I was an only child a little bit because it feels like they're not really siblings. They're just like more parents. And having Ely, I kind of felt like, all right, that was a brother like I kind of didn't get to have.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Now, when I did our intro, I talked about oftentimes young black men, young
Black women.
black females get a bad rap when they are brought up in the inner city. You all are prime examples that you don't necessarily have to be, well, you don't have to be a product of your community. What do you say to that? Do you feel that a lot of youth get a bad rap? And if so, let's talk about that.
Yeah, I definitely feel like a lot of younger people get a bad rep when they're from the inner cities because I feel like a lot of people have like this stigma on us that, you know, we're all bad and, you know, we're just all bad. And even like the people who may act bad, they're doing it because they just want to be bad. When in actuality, it could be something else. They could have not grown up in the best environment. You know, they could have had people around them that influence them to act the way they act. It's not always a conscious choice.
Okay. Ely?
I think it goes off what Isaiah was saying, a big peer pressure thing. You know what I'm saying? They want to fit in with other people to just be cool. I'll say like make a name for themselves in a way
Okay.
that will get them acknowledged by the people they look up to.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Now, have you all within the community ever felt pressured to be a part of something that you really didn't want to be a part of? And if so, what was that experience like? And if not, how did you stand firm on this is not something I'm going to do?
Me personally, I never really felt pressure to be a part of something I didn't want to be a part of because I try not to, you know, worry too much about the opinions of other people. And, you know, I always kept a good circle around me. So
Okay. Ely?
Pretty much the same for me. I always tried to, since I was little, try to keep good people around me and people I can rely on and trust on.
Okay. All right. Now, do you feel that you two are, what do I want to say here? Are there others, youth like you guys, or do you feel that you all exceptional?
What do you mean? Can you elaborate?
Well, in terms of, we talked about how society views, our youth sometime, most of the time. And do you feel that you all are exceptional? Do you feel that there are other youths out there your age?
No, I definitely feel like there's youths our age. I feel like there's youths better than us in the sense of, because I feel like everybody does good, everybody does bad. So I feel like not to say we're not special, but for lack of better words, like pretty much there's other kids like us. We're not like a diamond in.
Well, you are a diamond, but I
Well,
hear
yeah,
what you're
I
saying.
am a diamond, but
You both are right. But you all are not exception. There are other kids
yeah,
out
there's
there. And this
definitely
is
other
what I
kids
want,
like us.
right, my audience to understand, that you all are just not the only two kids or young men out there that's striving to do the right thing. There are a lot of other youths out there that may not have the opportunity to sit on, a stage like this, but there are a lot out there that, and this is what I want to have you all on, to shed light on that.
Yeah.
Isaiah, I know you have older siblings, and I know your older brother said to you, anytime that you're in the streets or, going maybe to Ely's house or wherever, make sure you have a basketball. Why was that?
Well, because when stuff happens in the streets, but most times people who are involved in the streets are not going to want to mess with somebody who's going to be able to make it out the streets.
Okay, so it's perceived that you are a, can you kind of elaborate to help my
So
audience?
it's kind of like in the streets, sort of. It's like some of the main ways people see to make it out is through sports or through trying to be a musician. So if somebody sees you, with a basketball, for example, they're gonna probably think, oh, he's with basketball, he's a good kid,
Okay. So in other words, it was a form of protection for you.
Yeah.
Now, how did you feel about that within your own community, knowing that there was a chance that you could be violated in some kind of way by people that look like you in your own community?
If I'm honest, I kind of just seen it as like, it is what it is, kind of. Like, that's kind of the outlook I had at it.
Okay. All right. Ely, have you ever experienced
Yeah. Going into like 7th and 8th grade in South Boston, there was a whole bunch of that.
Okay.
There was another school that was like right down the street from us. It was a high school, and after school, all the kids would always come over and like just try to I'll say like pick on us kind of in a way.
Okay.
It's like it was seeing how it was like, yeah, that's how life is. It's kind of
Okay.
pushing.
Now, what makes you decide, because I know we talk about pressure, peer pressure, then there's also pressure of, being a part of gangs and different things. It could be because you want to feel protected. Like you said, the older kids would come over and the school that you were at and pick on you and stuff like that. Did you ever feel pressure that maybe you should join this clique or join this gang so that you could be protected?
Well, no.
Okay.
Just because how I was raised and not talking to strangers. But no, I never felt peer pressure to join them because at the time, like, when I see what they were doing, I was like, it's not for me.
Okay.
It would never be for me.
All right, great. Now, you talked about going to school in South Boston. I know, Isaiah, your whole entire life, your school life, you went to school out in Hingham.
Mm-hmm.
You were, I don't want to say a product, but I'm going to say product of MECO. Shout out to MECO.
Yeah.
How was that experience? I know being bused from the community out to the suburbs, going with the school with maybe, 4 or 5 kids that look like you?
Yeah,
And
I'll
the
say 4 or 5.
huh?
I'll say 4 or 5.
Okay. And the rest of the kids didn't look like you.
Yeah.
How was that experience? There was, they were white kids.
Yeah.
How was that experience? Did you ever deal with any racism? Well, how was that experience? Let's talk about that.
Okay, so my experience with that, it was different. Again, it was different because you go from the inner city where the houses aren't that big, there's apartments, and then to going out, 45-minute, an hour drive to see these giant houses, big lawns, big backyards, people with pools in their houses, like 3-story houses and stuff like that. So it was different. I'll say the younger years, I didn't really notice it because, as a little kid, you don't really pay attention to the stuff like that. But as I got older, that's when I really started to notice like these people are living an entirely different life than us. Like it's completely different.
And how did that make you feel? And I mean, what was your thoughts or feelings about that?
Well, in terms of like them living differently, I don't know. I kind of just looked at it like, I don't know. Like, again, it was what it was. Like, although it did kind of motivate me to want to do better, so that I could get to where they're at.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was your experience in school? Did you feel like there were times that because of the color of your skin that you wasn't, I don't want to say given an opportunity, but you were viewed different from your counterpart that didn't have the same color skin as you?
Yeah, there were definitely times where I felt like I was viewed differently. We stuck out like a sore thumb. So it's like we had less room for error pretty much.
Okay.
Because and it's like for us, it'd be like if one person did something bad, it's like the whole group did something bad.
Okay. Can you give some examples of some things that may have occurred that you felt like if you all had did that same behavior, it would have been a completely different outcome?
Like, I could be in a classroom, everybody else could be talking, I could be quiet. I could say like one thing that I'm the one getting kicked out of the classroom.
Okay.
When everybody else, they've been making way more noise than me, and I say one little thing and then I'm out of there.
Okay. All right.
Or it could be like, there's a group of kids going this way who's in the hallway who's not supposed to be, but I could be out in the hallway and I'm the one kind of, I guess, get impressed about, like, where you supposed to be, where's your hall pass and things like that.
Okay. Ely, did you experience any of that?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Isaiah, what do you think that can be done differently, or what do you think that we could do as a collective group so that maybe children that are coming up that may go to MECO, what do you think? Is there anything that you think that we can do different as a society?
I don't know if there's really anything we could do differently. The best advice I could give was to kind of try and implement almost like to give them mentors, like, have the older kids who already been through MECO or are still in MECO kind of give guidance to the younger kids.
What about better schools so that you don't have to?
Oh yeah, well that too. I thought you meant like if you're in MECO, but yeah, outside of that, try and for the inner cities, have better schools so then, parents won't feel like that they have to send their kids out to MECO, so that, certain parents can feel comfortable with having their kids go to school where they live.
Okay, all right. Ely, now you also went to school not within the community, right?
Nah, it was in.
It
was, I guess, kind of, but it was still kind of in the community.
Okay, all right. You went to?
I went to, for high school, I went to EMK. That was Edward M. Kennedy Health Career. That's in, like, downtown.
Okay.
Like, Brigham Women's Hospital.
Okay, all right. So, what is your plans? What do you have planned coming up for the summer, the future? Oh, let's talk about you all's vacation. Let's talk about that. Let's rewind. Let's talk about that. How was that experience? I know last year for your graduation, you all went where?
Puerto Rico.
And for your graduation this year, you all went?
To Miami.
Okay. So let's talk about those two experiences.
It was fun.
Okay.
It was fun.
Okay. You want to elaborate any?
I mean, there's not much to elaborate. We went to Miami, we had our fun, we came back.
Okay.
It was a nice way to wrap up the academic year, you know, give us the break that I feel that both of us needed after, you know, a year working really hard.
Okay.
And yeah.
So which trip would you say was better, the Puerto Rico one or the Miami one?
Say Miami.
I would say Miami too.
And why is that?
Um,
It was a better vibe.
yeah, it was a better vibe.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a better vibe.
Okay.
Quicker plane trip. I don't like to fly, so that's a major thing for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, if you had to pick one thing, oh, you said the flight. Is the flight the one thing that you would pick that you feel that was better?
Yeah.
Okay. Ely, what was one thing that you would say was better out the two trips?
Oh, we went on a boat this time.
We did go on a boat.
Oh,
Jet skis. That was
okay.
that was like the main highlight.
I agree.
Jet skis is fun.
They were.
All right. So what do you all have planned for the rest of your summer?
To be honest, just working and helping Bobby fix up his gym so it can be ready by the year.
Okay. Now, are you going to be doing any, assisting him with any training, doing training?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. All right.
And I also plan on volunteering next year to help with his track team too.
Okay. With his track team?
Yeah.
Oh, he also have a track team?
Yeah, for the high school I went to.
Oh, okay. All
He
right.
does everything over there.
Okay. Now, how are you going to balance all that? Because I know you also are going to, this will be your first year of college in September, correct? Mm-hmm. So how are you going to balance all that?
I'm gonna see how the schedule is going, but most of my classes are in the morning, so
Okay.
my afternoons will mostly be free.
Okay. And what are you majoring in?
Electrical engineering.
Oh, great. Awesome. And you, Isaiah?
Business.
Okay. And what do you plan to do with that business degree?
I plan on eventually, you know, opening my own business.
Do you know what kind of business?
As of now, I'm kind of leaning more towards a clothing business.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Now, how important is education, getting that piece of paper, and why is it so important to you?
You said how important is the piece of paper? You know,
Did your mother make you do it?
No, I think it's important for, you know, certain things that you might want to do in life. Like, you know, if you want to be a doctor, then I feel, you know, you definitely should do it. Because I wouldn't want, you know, if I had open heart surgery tomorrow, I wouldn't want somebody, you know, with just a high school level education who's never stepped foot in a real, you know, doctor's college to operate on me. So I feel like for certain fields, it's definitely needed. But, you know, there's also a lot of people out here who have been fairly successful without college. So I think it's just kind of depending on what you want to do.
Okay. Ely?
I think it's depending on what you want to do, but not a lot of people get even an opportunity to go to college. So it's like, you know what I'm saying, I'm just grateful that I have an opportunity to go and get the experience that most people don't get.
Now, why do you feel that is people don't get that opportunity?
Probably because of where they're from, because I know some people don't get an education, and I'm just grateful that I'm here and I can get one.
Okay. But would you agree that in today's society that there are a lot of opportunities for people that want to go in terms of, you know, tuitions and different things like that, like you guys, and I'm so proud of you all, you both are on scholarships, and it's not sports scholarship, it's academic. And, you know, a lot of time that's another thing that people view us as, you know, when you get a scholarship, the first thing they come to mind is that, oh, it's a sports scholarship, but you both are on academic scholarship, which I feel is great.
Yeah.
Isaiah, you have 5 siblings.
Yeah,
You're the youngest of the 5.
I am.
Out of those 5 siblings, 4 of them have gone to college and have degrees. One of your sibling is has her doctoral and a couple of masters.
Yes.
Is there or was there ever any pressure, you know, to live up to your siblings or follow in their footstep? And if so, let's talk about that.
No, me personally, I never really felt like there was any pressure. I never felt the pressure like I had to live up to them because, we're different people. I can't be them, no, even if I wanted to be them, and they couldn't be me. We live different lives. We've experienced different things. We've had different paths. So I never really felt, I never put no pressure on myself to try and live up to them.
Okay, maybe I shouldn't have said live up to them. Follow in their footsteps.
Um,
Do you feel that there was pressure to do so?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, by whom?
My mom.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I think, my dad too.
Okay.
Probably my siblings as well, because they did it, and they would want me to do so too.
Okay.
But I'm sure. Well, I know it's all from a good place. They just want me to be successful.
I know one of your siblings, and that's the one that has the doctorate, feels that that you should exceed even that.
Mm-hmm.
Is the pressure still on?
I don't really feel any pressure from it.
Okay.
I don't.
All right. We were having a conversation, and you said, what was the conversation that we had
I don't remember.
about the $1 million?
Oh yeah. So if I woke up tomorrow with $1 million, could I stop going to college?
And what was the response to that?
It was, if I learned how to invest my money properly to make it so my money would make money for me, then it'd be a possibility.
No, there would be a conversation.
There'd be a conversation.
Right, right. So in other words, probably not.
I guess. Probably not.
Now, Ely, you being the only child, because I'm not an only child, but I grew up as an only child. So I know how, like, all eyes are on you. Did you feel pressure that you had to succeed because, you're that only child and there's this great expectation?
Yeah and no.
Okay.
Because as my mom's only child, I want to do right by her and do great things. But then she always tells me, like when I was in school, as long as you pass, that's all she cares about. But
Okay.
It's like I want to go beyond her expectation.
Okay. All right. So that's good. That's good. All right. What else?
The best is yet to come. Your best is inside of you. Your best is yet to come. Your best is inside of you.
Good evening. If you're just joining us, and welcome back to The Best Is Yet to Come. We went on a little break, and we have tonight Isaiah James and E. Lee heart, and our conversation, our topic tonight is talking about Black excellency. So prior to our break, we were just talking about different things with these two young men and things that they're striving to do and things that they have accomplished. Now that we are back off a break, I want to talk with you all about something that's really important. And I would like to know if you all have ever dealt with any type of situations like this, being two young Black men that live, within the inner city. Something that people try to mask or not really like to talk about a lot is racism. Have you all ever experienced anything like that? I think about George Floyd. You both was probably, how old when that happened?
Like, what, 16, 17?
Probably about 15, 16? Yeah.
15, 16.
Yes. What are your takes on that? I know that you both, there was a lot of protests, there were a lot of movements, the Black Lives Matter, in which, Black lives do matter, in my opinion. Sometimes, often, people say all lives matter. Yes, all lives do matter. But the Black lives are the ones that have been faced with the racism, being killed by police, people that we expect to protect us, actually that we pay to protect us, because it's our tax money that pay their salaries. What are your take on that? What are your thoughts about that?
All Lives Matter is basically a protest to Black Lives Matter. That's what I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
If I say Black Lives Matter and somebody yells at me back, All Lives Matter, if we can't help one group of people, then we can't help the rest.
Okay. What is your take on Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, and the list just goes on and on. Some that you all probably don't even remember. You and I was having a conversation, and we was talking about Emmett that whistled at the, what's his last name, Ely?
Emmett Till?
Yes. That whistled at the white lady, and they killed him. So, like, you guys was not even born then. I wasn't even born. So it's been going on from generation to generation. But you all are familiar with George Floyd. Let's talk about that. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, I feel, I do agree, Black Lives Matter. Obviously, all lives matter. But, like Ely said, it almost kind of feels like that's a protest to my protest. So, and as far as, racism, I personally, I have gone through racism, going to a predominantly white school. It's an evil, evil thing. And, yeah, it's not right.
Okay. Now, I know that you both participated in some of the protests. How many did you all participate in?
I want to say 2 or 3, I believe. 2.
Okay. And what was that? Talk about that. What was that experience like?
It was moving because it was just like the community of it. There's tens of thousands of people here, all for like the same purpose. It was kind of like a break from like the typical, like kind of almost competitiveness. Because, like, I don't know, it was peaceful. It was beautiful because, it was like everybody came together for a common cause.
Okay. Now, did you feel like it had an effect?
I think in the moment it did. Because like I said, it brought everybody together. Right before that, everybody was worried about the pandemic, all the crazy stuff that was happening at the time.
Well, I don't think the pandemic had started yet. No, it hadn't.
It didn't?
No.
During George Floyd, I don't think it did.
No, it hadn't started yet.
Well, it brought everybody together. And
Okay.
it was just beautiful to me. Obviously what caused it was disgusting, and it was sad that it took for such a horrific thing to happen to bring everybody together. But I feel like overall it was beautiful that everybody could come together.
Okay. Now, do you feel that what can we do differently, or what needs to be done differently so that we don't see another George Floyd?
I think it starts within the police training.
Okay.
Like, they need to, I'll say like kind of like train the officers better on how to respond to situations and how to de-escalate a
Situation.
yeah, situation. Thank you. De-escalate a situation rather than drag it on. Like with just like I was trying to think of another scenario. I don't know his name, but I seen it on YouTube. There was a guy. He got pulled over, and he's sitting there asking the officer, "What did I do?" And the officer's just ignoring all his questions and saying, "Give me your license, give me your license registration." But it's like at that moment, he's a black man. There's a man of color in the car, and at that moment he's scared because he's like, all this stuff has been going on around the world, and he just wants to go home. So it's like they have to learn how to de-escalate a situation and keep everybody calm instead of like, you know, I don't know.
Making the situation
Yeah, making the
worse,
situation worse.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I feel like there's not, just one clear-cut answer on how we can fix things. Because, if you fix things in one way, then other issues could arrive. But I feel like it should start with, the police force trying to make better decisions on who they accept to become a police officer. Because, that's not a simple job. Like, when you're a police officer, you hold someone's life in your hands, essentially. So I feel like it could start, with better training, like Ely said, better ways that they can diffuse situations, maybe not have to be as violent or aggressive when they are detaining people, but, also trying to pick better people.
Now, do you think that this would be helpful? I've heard a lot of people, and I agree with it, but I want to hear you all's opinion on it. What about people that look like the same people police? In other words, having people of color policing people of color.
Now, when you say that, do you mean only people of color policing
Well, I'm
other
not
people
saying
of color?
only people of color, but I feel like they can empathize more with what's going on within their own community. And the person that has made the call, or the person that got called, the police called on, maybe if it's someone that looks like them, they would be more receptive to maybe calming down, or maybe even being calmer during that situation.
I think that could definitely help because,
Okay.
somebody might feel more comfortable being policed by somebody who looks like them. But I still feel like, there are still evil people no matter what race you are. So, there could be somebody, he woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Now he chooses to abuse his power.
Right.
I forgot the exact name of the person, but I had just seen a clip recently where there was an officer. He pulled over a man of color, and he's being extra rough with him just for the simple fact he was angry. He was having a bad day. So, I think people of color, policing people of color could help, but there's still wicked people no matter what race you are.
Okay. Now, do you think that we've seen a decrease with the body cameras
What do you mean?
in terms of violence against black people by the police force, or people of color?
I mean, me personally, I feel like I'm seeing it more now than I've seen it before.
So you don't think that a mechanism that they put in place, the body cameras, are actually that helpful?
Oh no, because they can just shut them off.
Exactly.
And
It's not
they
really
can
doing
edit the
much.
film before we even get it.
Or they could not release the film at all.
Okay.
So
Okay. So how do we hold people accountable?
I don't know. That's kind of tricky.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. I mean, I could sit here and say harsher punishments, but that might not work for everybody. Somebody might not even care, but
Now, when you say harsher punishment, are you talking about when a police officer is convicted of doing something that their punishment should be harsher? Is that what you're saying?
yeah.
Okay. All right. Ely, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. Harsher
Okay.
punishments.
Okay. All right. Now, Isaiah, I know that your dad was a police officer for 25 years of his life, and I'm sure he's, shared stories and stuff with you. And I know I've heard, stories and stuff that he's, told and stuff like that. And I do feel from him being a police officer to what we see today, there is a great difference from stories that he's shared with you. Do you feel that there is?
Nah, I definitely feel there's a difference from what stories he told me. Obviously there were cops, being rough, fighting on people, but not to the same extent. Like from what I heard from him, there's not people, shooting somebody who's already in handcuffs, or, putting their knee on somebody's neck for minutes at a time. So there's definitely a difference now.
Okay. All right. That's something that we definitely have to continue as collectively as a whole, continue to work on. Have you all ever been educated on, if you guys are not driving, and I know you both have your permits and you're working on driving, but even just being out in the community, have you ever been educated on how you should conduct yourself? And if you say with your friends and you get pulled over by the police, what should you do?
I've been educated a little bit on it. I heard that you should already have your license in your hand with hands on the steering wheel, like this, at all times.
Yeah, I heard similar stuff. If you're driving, just have your hands on the steering wheel. Don't move too sporadically. Don't, try not to reach for nothing. Have the stuff that you need for them already ready, so there's no confusion, there's no, extraness going on.
Okay. Do you feel that's fair?
No.
Not at all.
Why not?
Because it's like, why do we have to go through all these extra steps for the police officer to do their job? Like, why do we have to be conscious, all right, let me not move this way, for them to do their job? Like, I don't know, yeah.
Like, they're supposed to protect us. We're here trying to make
Protect ourselves from the protectors.
Yeah.
Right. That's so unfortunate. Do you feel like lawmakers can make a difference? The people that we put in office?
Maybe, but I don't know. I don't feel like it's as much of an issue with the laws as it is the people, like the police themselves.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's talk about something else that's really plaguing our community. And Isaiah, I know you probably know because you hear me talk about it. That's part of my work and stuff. But I want to know from you guys' lens, your eyes, your thoughts on it. The drug epidemic that's plaguing our community. I don't know if I've taken you to Mass Ave. Have you gone down to Mass Ave?
Yeah.
Okay. What are your thoughts on that?
It's rough. It's unfortunate.
When you say it's rough, it's unfortunate.
Like, to see how the drug has such a hold on people. Like, it's almost turned people to zombies.
Yeah.
Without of course, no disrespect to those affected by it, but it's just turned them into completely different people. You go down to South Bay, you see people just roaming the streets, like aimlessly, just moving, like almost like they don't, like, just their mind's gone because the drug has such a hard hold on them.
Do you all realize and understand that some of those people was just like you two guys?
Yeah.
On their way off to college.
Could have been millionaires.
Well, they could have been, yeah, some of them, yeah. What do you think about that? What is your take on the drug epidemic that's just have taken over not only our state but the country in itself? Because what we see on Mass Ave, it's not just here, it's in other states too. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a big problem because in America, we promote that, really. With, like, all the rappers and stuff that we have now, everybody promotes drugs. It's basically like a way of life, I see teens to fit in with other teens, like, oh, come on, try this, and like that.
Okay, Isaiah?
I agree. It is an issue that, we should probably, I don't know. It's definitely a big issue, though. Not just, of course, with us here, but, all over the country.
What do you think some things that we can do to combat it or make a change? with that? Because one of the things I say, and I firmly believe in this, I don't feel that no one woke up one day and just said that, okay, I want to be
A
on
crackhead.
Mass Ave, homeless, possibly selling my body to get my next hit. Don't know where my next, meal is going to come from. I haven't seen my kids in 100 years. I don't feel that anyone woke up one day and said, this is how I'm going to live my life. Just let my life spiral out of control. So what do you think that we can do, if anything, to combat that?
I feel that's kind of tricky because, I'm not the most well versed in it, in, that area of study, even with helping people who struggle with that. But I feel, a good place we could start is trying to see, trying to help people with their mental health, because maybe they feel like that's the only way they can escape what they're going through is getting high. It could start with weed. They say that's a gateway drug. You could start with weed. You might feel like, all right, that's not doing it for me anymore. Then you could go to pills. You can go up and up and up and up and up until you get to stuff like crack and heroin and stuff like that. So I think a good place to start would be making sure people with their mental health.
That's great. I like that. Ely?
Another thing I could say is we got to stop promoting it to the younger generation, because
Okay.
they get it from what they see.
Okay.
What they see, the people they look up to doing. Like I was saying, like with these rappers, they see these rappers in their songs rapping about all these different drugs that they take and how they should try it. And I think that's how most of it gets started.
Okay. All right. I like both of those answers. Isaiah, you're absolutely right. A lot of it stems with, people, trauma. I had a guest on one of the shows, and she said trauma is a gateway drug. And when she first said, I'm like, And then when I thought about it, I feel like she's absolutely right. I mean, a lot of time people, like you said, use to mask stuff that they have gone through. And if we put in place more stringent mental health services, then we could possibly get to the root and start helping people. Ely, I also agree with you. It goes back to that pressure, peer pressure. Pressure doesn't necessarily mean that it's someone that's your age or someone that looks like you or someone that's in the same lifestyle that you're in. I feel that entertainers do have an obligation because people are following them. And I feel that they do have an obligation to be mindful of stuff that they are putting out there. But of course, that's what's selling. So they're going to continue. Why would they stop if this is what they're making their money off? But we as a consumer, if we stop buying it, and I think eventually they will stop promoting it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really good, and I like, that you all are in tune and connected with what's going on within your community. That's really great. If I ever needed someone to do some volunteer work, can I count on you two guys?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to hold you to that. Okay. Well, I really have enjoyed you all's, being on the show and you all's perception and sharing, from someone you guys' age. I think that it's important that you all have a voice in what's going on, not only within our community, but just in general within the society, because you all are our future. And it's important that you all is educated and have the support to be the best that you all can be, so that you all can in turn turn around and give it back.
Yeah.
Now, what do you feel about your responsibility in giving back? Do you feel that you have a responsibility to give back?
I think to an extent.
Okay. I think to an extent. Well, I don't want to say it's a responsibility, but I feel like, you know, we should give back in the way we could. It could be something as simple as knowledge.
Okay, why do you feel that it shouldn't be a responsibility?
Well, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I feel like responsibility is kind of like the wrong word.
So what word do you feel that it should be? What do you feel that it should be? I mean, because, words are words, but what do you feel? If you don't feel that it should be a responsibility of yours to give back, what do you feel that it should be?
Well, I definitely feel like you should give back, but I don't feel like it's anybody's responsibility to.
Ely?
I think I agree on that. You know, I don't think it's a responsibility, but I think it's good to give back to your community.
Okay. I like to differ with you guys on that. I feel that I can remember one of my first professor many moons ago said that we have an obligation to ourselves, to our family, and to our community. And I brought into that when I was probably like you guys' age. Although when I look back even before that, I kind of resume that type of responsibility because if we all had the attitude of, oh, well, you know, I can if I want to, people are less fortunate than others. And I feel that we do have a responsibility to help those that are less fortunate. I mean, if everybody felt like, oh, I can do it whenever, whatever, then a lot of things that get accomplished won't get accomplished. I mean, because you all being fortunate to be in the families that you all are in, everyone is not fortunate enough. Somewhere down the line, there was someone that thought about maybe your grandmother, your great-grandmother, and let me pour into her and felt it as an obligation. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like we have a responsibility to keep that torch going if we want to see the change that's needed within our community. So does it look a little different now?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks a little different.
Okay. All right. Now, we're going to be wrapping up shortly, but before we do, I would like for you each to take a few minutes to share with our audience, say for an example, if there's a young man, you Isaiah, if there's a young man, even a young female your age, that may be faced with peer pressure. And they want to do what's right, but the peer pressure is so strong that they are tempted to give into it. What would you say? And make it quick because my producer just came out.
Oh.
Get your point across.
Well,
But
I would say, you know, don't worry about peer pressure. Don't let it get to you the best you can. I know while you're in that moment, it might feel like, you know, that's the most important thing, but there's more life outside of that. You know, if it's not something that you would do on your own, then don't do it. You know, and if you feel like it's friends that's trying to force you to do something, they're not your real friends, because your real friends would stick by you no matter what you do, and they wouldn't force you to do something that you wouldn't want to do.
okay. Now, Ely, I'm going to ask you something a little different, but on the same lines. You have someone, a young man, a young female that is athletic. They are really into playing basketball, but they want to maintain good grades. Any words on how to balance that?
Just keep thinking of your motivation and what you're striving for, and think of how the grades are gonna help you get to where you want to be. You know, that's what helped me. I always thought if I get bad grades, I can't play, and if I can't play, that gives me no burn. No coaches at college gonna see me play, and that's gonna reflect bad on me.
Okay. All right. Well, I thank you both. Once again, we've had a great show. Before I wrap up, I want to say, in addition to Ely, the best is yet to come, and DNC Quality Care will be giving out 5 different scholarships for people that did really well in their senior year that's going off to college. So Thank you guys so much for being my
Thank you for
guest.
having us.
Being my guest. And once again, we are wrapping up another segment of The Best Is Yet to Come. In closing, we bid you peace, love, and blessings always. And remember, the best is still yet to come.